If you're a mid-level to C-suite leader who wants to own your growth and figure out your next small, brave move to achieve your leadership goals, you are in the right place. Welcome to the Small Brave Moves podcast, a weekly deep dive on how to be braver in leadership and in life for exceptional results. I'm your host, Nicole Bianchi, best-selling author, certified master executive coach, NSA certified speaking professional, chief bravery officer, and tough talk expert. If you're ready to become a better, braver, and more authentic leader, let's dive in. Welcome to the Small Brave Moves podcast. Today, I'm beyond excited to introduce our incredible guest, Renee Warren. Renee is an award-winning entrepreneur, angel investor, author, and speaker who has made waves in the world of public relations. And as the founder of We Wild Women, Renee has revolutionized how female-led businesses shine in the media spotlight. She's not just a leader. She's a visionary committed to helping women achieve visibility and success. Renee is also the host of the top-rated podcast, Into the Wild, where she interviews successful entrepreneurs and shares actionable authority-building advice. Whether she's guiding businesses to new heights or spending quality time with her family, Renee is a force of nature who leads with purpose and passion. And in today's episode, we'll dive into Renee's inspiring journey, the small, brave moves that have shaped her career, and how she's stepping into a bold new chapter as she transitions to her role in Martell Media. We'll also discuss the power of saying no to what no longer serves you and the importance of consciously choosing the life you want to lead. So let's not waste any more time and dive into this inspiring conversation with Renee Warren. Renee, I am so excited to have you. It has been so fun to watch your incredible journey and just watch you just fly. It's been so fun. So share with us, tell me a little bit about who you are. I want our audience to hear who you are, what you do, and what are you most proud of right now?
Wow. Where do I begin? Okay. So who I am, Renee Warren. I am a 13-year public relations vet, having run a couple agencies. I'm a PR coach and trainer as well, but in the transition right now of actually going through a little acquisition and working with another PR agency and spearheading their PR department as I actually become part of the Martell Media team. And so we're taking my podcast in-house. It'll become a Martell Media production, and I am going to be the director of communications for the company as I support our family in building our legacy and travel the world.
Yes. Hey, that sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It
Oh
is.
my gosh. That's incredible. Now, will you be working with any external clients too, or no? My time is dedicated to building this.
I still have a very soft spot in my heart for female entrepreneurs. And so I will be doing VIP days and PR strategies for the right client and the right customer. In the last couple of years of getting back into PR, I told myself I would not and no longer work with funded technology companies because that was my history. So when I had Onboardly, my previous agency, we worked with technology companies and it was a lot of masculine, a lot of hustle, a lot of bro energy, which was very exhausting. And so I told myself, if I did this again, I will not work with that audience. So I found myself months ago realizing my roster is all men in the tech space. And I said, no. This has got to stop. So I actually let my clients go. I don't want to say fire my clients because I hate saying that word. It's not like they did anything wrong. They're incredible. I just realized this was not for me. And I was mature enough and had enough conviction in it to just be like, whoa, I'm okay making this little pause in revenue to be able to restructure what I want to do in my life because that wasn't filling my love tank. The thing I'm most proud of in my life, I mean, my children are awesome. They're so much fun, super cool. But I'd say there's not one thing that I'm proud of. But in the last probably 3 years, just having that confidence and conviction to say no to the things that don't align with my energy and to say yes to the things that do without fearing judgment, without fearing that shame, and then being okay with the outcome, knowing that, hey, this is what I want to do. And another person's opinion of me is actually none of my business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so liberating feeling that way. So that's probably what I'm most proud of.
This explains a lot of the transformation I've seen and been watching you go through, which is just so impressive. So what you're talking about is when we have that mindset, we attract the right people towards us, right? We release what's no longer serving us. We're attracting the right people. And that takes a series of small, brave moves. So share with me a few of the small, brave moves to get to here where you're at today that you made that would be helpful for us to know.
Okay, small. I'm just going to start with the big.
Okay.
Was moving across the country to a city that we wanted to live in because of the city and not because of a job or family. It was because we wanted to be here. And then by moving to, so in Kelowna, BC, by moving here allowed us to actually be around the right people. Because there's something about this city that is so unique. And if you get in the right bubbles, you're surrounding yourself with people who want to be your cheerleaders. Okay, here's a big, small move, but hiring a VA. I grew a multi-million-dollar PR agency and I never had an assistant. And I felt like, oh, I'm not deserving of this. Who wants to deal with my crap? Well, I found somebody who actually really loves doing that stuff. Her name is Morgan, so shout out to Morgan.
And what has that allowed you to do?
The freedom. Because when you are prioritizing checking your messages, including text, calls, emails, DMs, you're essentially at the mercy of somebody else's calendar, somebody else's tasks. So the other small win was no longer charging my phone in my bedroom and no longer letting myself to look at any sort of tech for the first 30 minutes of waking up. That changes everything too.
Oh my gosh. I want to hear more about this because this impacts so much of our energy, right? Which is what you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's like that dopamine hit of how many new followers did I get, likes, engagements. And then again, it's almost like it's a drug. Now we need more of it because if we're going to start our day with all these big hits of dopamine and now we just need that for the rest of the day, it's not fair. So I start with writing in my 5-minute journal, cuddling with my kids, making them breakfast, chilling with the dog. It's a slow start to the day. And that small change has been a game changer.
I love that. I love that. I love the path you're on. So the other thing that came up for me, Renee, when I was thinking about you and specifically asking you to be a part of the Small Brave Moves podcast is I see you in a way that is showing up in a bolder, more authentic, more, this is who I am. And so what did it take to step into that? Not just professionally, right? As a leader, a thought leader, an expert, but my guess personally as well.
Well, am I allowed to swear on this show?
Yeah.
So when
I say shoot it to us straight.
Okay. Well, when I turned 40, I realized that there's this energy around women in their 40s. I think in my perspective that they are the most confident, beautiful in that era. And there's also this thing that I believe in. It's called the Give No F's 40s. You start caring less about the things that you thought were so important. And that also meant other people's opinions. So when you think about like in a day, when you wake up, are you actually doing things for you? Like realistically, are you doing things for you? So when you start to make those tiny movements towards filling your love tank and filling your cup, you start to realize that even in your like nuclear family, other people by default get happier because you are. It's the craziest thing. It is the craziest thing. And then when you can share that energy and share that excitement with the people around you, it transforms them too. But one thing, the most important thing in all of this, is really being okay with the fact you are going to offend people. You are going to constantly and consistently offend people because you are doing something, believing something, valuing something that they don't. So that energy you're seeing on my social, maybe on my podcast, is because of that. It's like when you stop giving shit about other people in terms of like their opinions, then you can do whatever you want. You can vote for whoever you want. You can go to
Yes.
church if you want to or not. You can believe in the power of crystals or not. Like, it's all
Yeah.
up to you.
I love it. And I think also what comes up for me when you say that is there are people that are questioning whether you have every move figured out, but also there are people that are sitting here saying, you're so lucky, or you get to do this. Or so I just spent a month in Greece in June. And
Yeah.
some of the comments I was getting was like, you're so lucky. I want to live your life. I want to. And as I realized, I was like, oh, there's something inside of them that is not fulfilling, or they're not doing, or making that move, right? Making that small, brave move to take the month in Greece. And it's not about me. And so once I realized and put that aside, like, it's not about me. It's about them.
A mirror up to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that, and then maybe the context is that they appreciate that you're sharing and they would love that, and they're cheering you on. Or the context could be that they're jealous or envious because they wish they could have that. And how those people make themselves feel better is by putting others down.
Yeah.
Because they think, wow, if you can have that and you're no better than me, then I need to make you feel like crap because I feel like crap. And then we can all feel like crap.
Yes.
And then my victim mentality will be fulfilled.
Yes.
Like, that's how people think.
So when I do decide to give it energy and they say lucky or I wish, I said, it's all about choice and intentionality. And that's what you're seeing me doing right now. Is all about choice and intentionality.
That's it.
Yeah.
And,
that's it.
And honestly, like, my mission for this year, and I'm hoping it's for the rest of my life, is it's simple. It's a small little move. It is for me to make every room better because I was there.
Mm.
And it could be a tiny thing. Like, maybe I cleaned up a table, or maybe I smiled at somebody who was having a down day, or maybe I was just my goofy self and I don't even know I'm making a change. But if I can just adjust the energy of the room by like a micro little hair, then anybody that's in it's going to feel it.
Yeah. But imagine we all did it. And when you said it, it evoked this emotion inside of me and I got goosebumps. I'm like, ooh, that's chilling. That's amazing.
Like, can't you just do that? You go into Starbucks to get a coffee, or in my case, Tim Hortons, because I love that coffee. And how hard is it to go up, smile, order your order, pay for the thing, and say thank you and have an incredible day? How hard is that?
Yeah.
It's really hard for some people because they're living their life and there's stuff happening and we don't know, and we get it. We're all suffering from something, but we tend to, by default, bring that energy where we go. And all of a sudden other people are like, oh, like, that's not a nice person, or they must be having a bad day. And by intentionally adjusting your own energy, it changes those around you as well.
So to get to where you are today, talk to me about the brave conversations. If you can think of one or two, you've had to be intentional and have along the way. Because last time we talked, we were just launching 5 tough talks, right? How do you turn these tough talks into brave conversations? And I know that your journey has to have been filled with several brave conversations along the way. So is there one that's jumping out for you?
Oh, yeah. It's almost too fresh to talk about. But I work with a spiritual therapist. Her name is Stephanie. She has been a game changer, a life changer for myself, my marriage, everything in my life, every facet. Mm-hmm. Because she just brings and she's a believer in a bunch of different philosophies, from like Buddha to, Reiki to Hindu, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And when we were chatting the other week, I come to our conversations with like a thing that I just want to kind of get off my chest, and we'll like cut energetic ties from it. I said, Steph, there are 4 women in my life that trigger me. And they're incredible women. They've done nothing wrong. They're not malicious. I don't know what it is, but there is something about them that triggers me. And she's like, okay, well, here's your homework. Write their names down in a journal and go through all the reasons why they trigger you. And I don't know why. She goes, it'll show up. It'll show up. Sure enough, it did. And every single one of these women had achieved something in their life that either I felt like I deserved some sort of attribution to, which isn't true, or I was jealous of because it's something I wanted to achieve and they achieved it before me. So I had to do the work on this, and that is not fun. It is like doing a marathon in the brain. But the moment you start to like put your finger on the bruise as to why these people trigger you, you can almost just release that finger. Every single one of these women were just holding up a mirror to me. And I would have to face that crap. It's my own BS that I have to survive. So like one of these like brave conversations that I had to have, and what I'm still going through, is in buying back the rights of my book, a book that I published in 2017, 2018. I have big plans to come up with a new edition of this book. And I just wanted full control. I didn't want to have her permission because she's a co-author of this book. And I was like, I just need to reach out to her and talk to her. And it was a relatively easy conversation. And when I asked her, she goes, sure, no problem. Guess how many weeks I spent telling myself she's going to come back and push back and have all these things. And she goes, yep, no problem. Just send me a formal offer and we'll make it happen. Oh, so we tend to make these really tough conversations tougher in our mind. And then we actually show up for them. They're not that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's a great example of asking for permission, right?
Yeah.
Which is one of the asks for help. And you're right. It's interesting. We put it off and allow ourselves to create these stories, right? That end up turning into something so much bigger than we take the time. And you're like, oh, here we go. And I'm sure you felt this immense amount of relief. And then you're like, I wasted way too much energy on this, on the buildup, that all the way the pre-gaming of the conversation.
That's it. It's real. Like we think about all the scenarios. Okay, well, if she says this, then I'll be ready because I'll know, like, I'm prepared for this, or maybe she'll say this, or it could go this way. I think it's important to go through some of these possibilities if it's that deep of a conversation, but don't get hung up on it. I'll never forget the line from the movie with Ryan Reynolds when he was a college student for 5 years. I forget, this is a movie from like the early 2000s. But he said in the movie that worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere.
And so now that you've gone through this, I'm curious, what would be a small, brave move you would challenge listeners the next time they need to make a big ask?
My God, honestly, pick a day, pick a time, and make it happen.
Yeah.
Do it. Just do it. It's crazy. I can't tell you how many people that say, oh, I want to write a book. Great. Start writing a book. Well, how do I do that? It's like the reality of the world that we live in today is our internet has the answers to literally everything. And most of that stuff is free and accessible on social media and YouTube, you name it. So the only person that's stopping you from doing anything is you. And you say, oh, I can't do this because I'm, a stay-at-home mom, or I can't do this because I've been a doctor my whole life and there's no way I can just leave my practice and go become an artist. Says who? Right?
Yeah.
Like, are people really relying on you? Maybe a doctor, yeah. But it's okay to make changes, to course correct. It's okay to ask for help. Oh God, ask for help. That's the biggest thing. We're so afraid to delegate. We're also so afraid to do something new and different because it requires work.
Well, it does.
Yeah.
And so we find excuses sometimes, but then I have to challenge. I'm like, okay, is this really important right now?
Yeah.
And what you just described here over the last couple of minutes is consciously choosing the life you want to lead, right? The life you want to live, how you want to be. And once you do that and put it in forward motion, gosh, there's so much momentum behind you. There's so much you can do. And I think people miss out on, and that's where I go back to small, brave moves. One small, brave move leads to another small, brave move, which leads to another, right? A whole series, and the compounding effect that you talked about just a little bit ago.
Okay, well, I want to add one more little layer to this too.
Do it.
A small, brave move of identifying as the person, the thing that you want to achieve. So in the world of CrossFit, if you do CrossFit actively, you're considered an athlete. It doesn't matter your skill level, it doesn't matter how much you weigh. They make you believe you're an athlete. So the moment you allow yourself to believe you're an athlete, you put on your athlete hat and your athlete shoes, you show up with an athlete mentality, which means you're going to grind it out. You're going to push it a little bit further because that's what athletes do. So the moment you identify as a billionaire, then start doing the work to make yourself a billionaire. Or the moment you identify as a philanthropist, those opportunities will show up. It's crazy how it shows up.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so talk to us about what your next goal is and what's that next small, brave move to get there?
Okay, so my next goal is, for the first time in my life since I was 17 years old, in December of this year, for the first time, I'm going to be taking a sabbatical. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to work. I'm going to be with my kids. And right now it's about 2 months, and we're traveling Australia and Bali and who knows where else. So that is kind of what's next. But also, I'm bringing my podcast into the Martell Media production company and really focusing on growing the show.
Yeah. That's amazing. Okay, so how can our listeners find you if they want to hear more and follow this amazing podcast with all these incredible guests?
So we actually just changed our Instagram account because it used to be my PR agency name, but we were sharing mostly podcast content. So we changed the name last week. And so the Instagram handle is the Into the Wild podcast. Or you can find my personal Instagram is Renee_Warren.
All right. You have to share. What does Into the Wild mean?
It means making a bold, brave, wild, courageous decision and taking action on it. It's like pretty much frolicking naked in an open field and being okay with other people seeing you.
It's
wild.
It is wild.
Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely love it. And I just thank you so much, Renee. What an incredible conversation. I'm leaving inspired on a few things for sure. And I know our listeners will as well. So thank you for joining us today. And listeners, take a moment to go out and follow and listen to all of her incredible episodes.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Small Brave Moves podcast. If you're wanting to take this work even deeper, I'm here to help. From engaging in inspirational keynote speeches to transformational coaching and workshops for leaders and teams, page-turning books, online courses, and enlightening leadership development retreats. There are so many ways that we can work together to take your leadership to the next level. For more information, check out the show notes, and let's do this together, one small brave move at a time. See you next week.